Hello and welcome to this video. It is me, Charles, again, and I'm with you in yet another video relating to hands-on data. This time around, we're looking at SQL with regards to time intelligence analysis. And what we actually want to do is to take a data set that allows us to, practice hands-on time intelligence. And you're going to find that here we've got a set of data that we intend to look at. And so we have this huge data set that we're going to be working on. It's actually requests made to a call center, and it's got the request ID, the date, the initial date the request was made, the source it came from, a description of what that request was about, and we have the request categories, and we've got other data that's inside it. But we also have questions that we will be analyzing based on this, and all the questions are actually looking at something related to time intelligence. Like I can show you here, we've got all these questions: year-over-year trend, monthly seasonality, daily activity, resolution time analysis, peak reporting hour, and we've got them all dimensioned into time related analysis, and we're going to be using SQL to handle them. But in this video, we're just taking the first one, and we're going to be doing the necessary analysis that there might be for this question. So I'm not doing it in Excel, it's going to be in SQL. So I'm just going to close this one. I don't save, just close that. And then I'm using a tool called dbeaver. So dbeaver is like your SQL workbench. So it's able to link to your SQL database. This time I'm using PostgreSQL here. And so I have dbeaver linked to it, and I'm able to see my databases that are in PostgreSQL. All right. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to import the data. And if you find that you're not watching the part one, this is part one of the series on time intelligence with SQL. If you're not watching the part one, then you might need to just watch the part one to understand how I import the data into dbeaver. Now, another thing you can do, I'm going to have links below in the description below. You can watch my video on integrating dbeaver to your PostgreSQL, setting it up and all of that. You can also watch the video on downloading PostgreSQL in your machine. That's two videos. I'll leave the link down there. So let's get working on this. So assuming all of that is known, assuming you've set up dbeaver and all of that, you might be watching it some years later, but almost often the download and setup process is similar. Very little difference over the years. So what you just need to do is that you just need to come in here, and so you're going to see databases here. So I have some databases here, but I'm just going to create a new one for that analysis. So I'm going to right click on this database, and I'm going to create a new database. And this new database is going to be time. I'm going to call it a name, just call it time underscore intelligence. I hate capital letters. And don't mind me, I'm not very good with touch typing, but there it is. So time underscore intelligence. All right, so we're going to leave that. It's going to still sit in my Postgre database. That's what I have. And we're just going to OK this to come up. So we already have a database that is created here. So you might know how to create it with SQL too. So whichever one works best for you, you can use that. So we now have it in here. And so when we just go in here, we see the schema. So table sits within the schema. So I'm going to just click this arrow down button, public, and I'll have table. Right now, there are no tables in. So I'm going to right click in there, and then I'll import data. So right now, the process of importing starts like this. I want to import a CSV. So your your data needs to be in CSV. You get it, to be able to do this. So I'm going to just import that and look for the table I want. So I know I've opened it recently. So I'm going to check. You might find it in your recent, but home here. So here it is, the service request. So I'm going to just import that in, and I'm going to do my next. And so right here, there isn't anything, and there's not much you need to do. If at all there are things to do, in upcoming videos I would show you why you need to do what or what not when it comes to importing. But if your CSV is okay, you really do not have issues here. Otherwise, right here, all you just need to do is here you can see how your data, so all of those, you know, fields or columns that you have on your CSV, they are all showing here, and this is how they are mapped in. They are all going to come in as new columns and all of that. So dbeaver handles all of this for you, and what you have actually here. So what this actually means is that right here, these are what comes from your table. So these are what comes from your table. Yeah, I'm sorry, all of this comes from your table, you know, but all of these that are here are what you can actually change in order to get your data in. So you see, the reason why you can work on that is simply because right here you see target column and target type. So the targets are things that you can easily double click into in the cells, and then you can just click and make whatever changes that there are. This is how it looks like, and this is what they are. These are your data types that comes with the your CSV files, you know. So that being said, you can actually click into this and you can change whatever you want to do inside it. We're going to leave it at the default, and we just okay it, so you can preview your data to see what your data looks like here. And let's just continue, and not really much you need to do here. Sometimes this is what you might change. You just want it to pick as many of these rows and insert it into your database, you know. And what we mean is that how many rows at a time is it picking, and then, you know, inserting and all of that. So that handles that. So I'm just going to go to next. Everything is ready at this point, and we're able to see what the name will be, what the target container is, and then all of this. So I'm going to just process it. And so it's going to do its thing. You can see it's taking 10,000 each, committing them into the database as the case may be here. So you can see it's processing it here. So the database, the data or number of records are quite high in our CSV file. They are about a million rows, you get it. And so it's taking some time to put all of that together and then commit it into the database. So maybe I'm just going to pause it for a while and get back when it has done, but I can tell you that it's going to do it. So that's about 400,000. So it's going to just do that. So if we had increased it to maybe more than 10,000 and so on, it could do that a little more faster. So the more the more clean your data is in your CSV, it actually helps to bring it in and faster. You get it. So that's why we can change it from maybe the 10,000 to maybe 50,000. You see, number of rows committed and so on like that. So it did it quite quick for us, and it's completed whatever it wants to do here. So you don't need to do much here. It's just telling you that it has committed this much in it. So I'm just going to close it. So service request here, I'm just going to close this. So I'm back to something here, empty. So right now, if you look this way, you would see that you now have a table there. If you look here, you would see that you now have a table now, service request. out there. Okay, so there it is. So we have it there. All right, so now what we're going to do is, you could have as many projects as possible here. So projects are just let's just do one and call it time intel analysis. Okay, time intel analysis. And that's just a way by which you could keep all what you want to do inside one particular place like this. You get it? So anything you want to do, you can have it here. Actually, we're going to be working with scripts here. And so while this is selected, I'm just going to come up here and open a new script. So a new script is what I'm going to open. Here it is, the new script. And so in dbeaver, this script is not really going to work yet. Let's test it. So we say select all from select all from, so it's really not going to from request. So you can see it's not even see my request or anything. And the reason, if you're using dbeaver, is simply because we're not yet connected to a database here. So I'm going to just click here. So this is it. So you're going to see them with the NA as if not available. So I'm going to just click this one. And so I have Postgre there, and I'm going to come to this place. So you will see your different databases here. I'm actually going to the time intelligence, and I'm going to double click this, and then I'm going to have them here. So at this point, we can now test and see what happens. So I have my select this time I select all from service. So you can see that I now have a service request showing up there telling me that the connection is fine and good. And I'm going to take this out. That's just an alias, and it's just bringing in service request, SR service request. For now, I think we can do without that. Over time, we will need to work with aliases, but for now, we can do without that. So testing it, and then this is all of our data that has come in. Here it is. So everything tends to be here now, you know, for us to use. So we're going to work with this data and try to answer the question that we have here. And so the question is saying year-over-year trend, how many records were created each year, identifying the trend in the numbers. And so let's do the first one. How many were created each year? So let's just make this a little better. So I'm going to leave this one here, and I'm going to do a comment and say that this is all data, and I'm just going to leave that one there so that I can refer to it at any time in order to see possibly the structure of the table or what I might want to pick from the table. So now I'm going to take on my question one, and so that we can always see what we are doing, I'm just going to copy this from here and bring it here, paste it there so that we can always see what we're doing. So I just hope it's big enough for us to see. All right, so let's go straight and start work. So the first thing, because they asked me year on year, I'm going to select. I'm going to do a select, and I'm going to take the request ID, because I'm going to do a count based on the request ID. But first, let's take the data, date time. What is there? Date time int. Okay, date time int. I guess that it is. Select this from service request. So I'm going to test it if it's working. So likely I got the name wrong. Date time, initial date time. So that's what I mean when I say sometimes I want to just pick this. Can I copy it from here? Date time, INIT. So date time, INIT, I think. Yeah, so that's it. So I think this time I will get it. So good. So we have this here, and I'm just going to do this one here. So now this is how the time comes in. And if you look right here, just, somewhere here. So what I'm talking about is that if you look right here, you're going to find out that it's AZ that is there. So what that actually means is that your date time, your whatever represents your date, is in a string, and it's not really a date. So what we do in this case, we need to cast it as date. So there is casting, but I just want to show you that when you use these your dots, what do you call, semicolon or colon, 2 times, you're actually trying to cast numbers. So you can see if I do this cast like this and I run it, so you can now see that it becomes dates like this. And so this is better to look at. So actually we're not concerned about the time or the hour or all of that. So that is why I'm casting it this way, so that it appears this way. Now we can always get our request ID to come in. So this comes like this, and then we have a request ID. Request ID. So we just want to have that there because it's going to help us to do a kind of a count. All right. So now if we should run this, this is what we get. You get it. So we can always give an alias to this. For example, we say as what, as dates. So that could be as dates. And this particular one, let's leave it as request ID for now. And when we run it, this is exactly what we get. But I want you to look at the question very well. It says how many records for each year. So actually what we want to pick here is not just the it's because this is the date that represents the month and the year. You get it. So we must find a way by which we would get just the year out of it. So one of the ways we do it, we've got the date trunk. That's a function. And the date trunk, what it helps us to do, it helps me to pull out a particular thing out. So I'm going to pull out year. Year is what I want to pull out. And you can see how I put it in the comma and I put in the date here. So I close it in here. So I had year, just give me the year out of this date that are formatted this way. Now it's important that you had formatted, we had changed the date to, you can see that it now has something like a clock in there. So it's recognizing it and saying, give me the year out of it. So we're going to just change this one to make it years. Okay. Small letters. Years like this. And let's run it and see what it gives us. So this is what it actually gives us. You get it. So right now, it's giving us this as years, and you can see it is picking out the first, it's just picking out the first day of the year for us. You get it. So everything now, it's not like what we had it before. So you can easily compare that with what this would give you. I just put a comma and just run this. So you see, this is what it was. So it gives you different dates, different different dates and all of that like that. But right now you're having the first day of the year, January 1st, and all. So that forms a way by which you can just pick just the year out of it. So another thing you can do at this point is maybe to still cast this one as a date and run it so that you see the first day of every year, and you could use this to do a grouping in order to get what goes for every year. But still, let's just try and get just the year out of it. So I'm going to just take this out. And rather than use this one, I'm going to use a date part. So we're going to use the date part here. I'm going to take out these because I already have them here, and I should run them like this. So running them like this, we now have just the year number. So the date part helps us to do that. You get it. We're going to be using much of this in our time intelligence analysis, and then we're going to use it to do much of now I can take out this. I had this one just to help you to see the difference between what is coming out. So right now I can have it like this, and we can use this for our analysis of how many records we got for each year. So right now, it being like this, I could count this. I could do a count of all of this. And since I'm doing a count, because this is an aggregation, I always like to point it out. The moment you have an aggregation, you're going to have a group by. You're going to have a group by. And we're grouping it by what? So SQL allows us to use the aliases here for the group by, and like this. So we're going to group it by years and then tell it to count each of these within it. So let's test it if it runs. So it's working, and it tells us that this is what we get for every year. So one of the ways in which we can make it look beautiful is that we can still come and tell it to order by. So there is no sort by, just like we have it in Excel, you know. So but we can do an order by years here also, and then run it so that it gives us this 2020, 2009, 2010, all down to 2019. So it's going to just give us in that order, and we're going to have it here and be able to use it. So this way we're able to get what are the counts. Let's call this one a name, and we're going to say as counts of we need to off underscore requests. All right, we'll leave that one there. So you could do without the as, you know, and just leave a space like that. It's still going to work, but statutorily you could have an as there to indicate that this is an alias. So actually count of requests, and these are years, and that's what you have. So you run it as long as your cursor is within a code block. You can always run it. You can also use this to run it, and then you'll get the answers there. So that tends to answer the first part. It says how many records were created each year, and it talked about identifying any trend in the number of records, you know, reported, if there is any trend that we can find from it. One of the things you can do in carrying out that is that you can use a Windows function to try to get what that would be. So one of the ways we do is try to see what is the addition that comes to each of these over the years, you know. So there are many ways in which we can achieve that, you know. So let's try to do it this way. So we're going to create this, and we're going to use a Windows function. So we're going to be using a lot of Windows function in our analysis. So here I'm going to have a lag. So I'm going to have a lag here, and I'm going to create a lag based on, so when you're writing Windows function, there is this FOPO that I always use in my head. So F is for the function. Here I have the function, and O is for the over, and it still looks like function because we could be putting things inside it, and inside it there might be partitioning, which are the P's and all of those that come with it. But right now I really would want to, you know, so we have count of requests here. So so we want to base our lag on count of requests. So that's quite huge here. So I'm just going to pick this one as a column, and I'm going to just put it in here. You get it? I'm just going to put it in there, And yes, I'm going to put it in there, and we'll just, this is going to be a lag, and you're going to see the result as so for now we just, let me just put a DD, and we're going to see what it does for us. I think this looks fine. Let's run it and see. Sorry, so I need to put a 1 here and run it. What does it say? Is near lag, so there, so I guess this is it. Correct. So that was where the error was, and so this is actually what we have. So what you're seeing is that the prior year is now coming up here. So I'm going to change this to prior year. So that becomes the heading. So I'm going to just run this, and so you see that we have a prior year. So now we have this, and so it's easy for us to find what the difference between the current year and the prior year is. You get it? So what we're going to do is to just use each of these to find out what the difference is, and we would find what the answers would be. So all what we just need to do, the current year is what this gave us. Remember that. So we're going to put a comma here and here, minus, we're going to take this particular one from here. Now, a lot of people might say, hey, this over, why don't you have something in there and so on like that? Actually, I don't, because I've done some grouping here and I've done some ordering here, and that is why it is coming out this way. But you're going to find out that you're going to need it in some other analysis that we're going to be doing. But for now, I think this helps us to understand the problem better. So let's run this and call this let's call it some annual diff, or let's call it incremental in annual incremental, I think. Yes, so annual incremental, this should be it. So let's run it and see if it runs. So yes, here it is. So it's saying that 33 minus this 16 gives us these particular numbers. So we can start looking at what likely is happening. So from the first year that we have here, now the data may have been from other prior years and so on, but anyway, based on the data that we have, this is what we have coming out of it. And because that's the previous year, we're getting nulls there. But looking at all other years, we can see what the progression is. So this might be an extreme, and this might be an extreme value. So from all of this, we can see what likely the trend is, you know. So if we could get the average of all of this, we can be able to tell that, okay, this is about what the average is on an annual basis, and so on like that. But we can be able to see what actually is, you know, just like this. Another thing you can do is to export this to Excel. So right now you have a very small table rather than the large numbers that you have previously. So we can actually come here and like copy everything out. I'm going to do like a Control-C and come to, I'm going to open my Excel and just drop it in there like so. And I know that these are my years. I know these are the numbers of record numbers or requests. Let's call it number of requests. You get it. So that's for that one. And number of requests. And so I just can plot something on this, insert, and let's use the line chart. So from here, we can see what the trend is. It's a progressive trend, all going up. we really do not need this. This is supposed to be the years. And so I could go to my select data, edit. Actually, for the years here, I wanted to use this one, all of this, okay. So that's what we have here. So those are the numbers that we have. We can add something to like the grid lines. We can just add the primary major up here like this. So it helps us to see what is happening at every, at every point and what those numbers could be. So you might not need this, although when you have lines like this, you can need this and to tell you, oh, this about 80 and just like that. If you want to see the commas on it, so you can have the commas on it, take out this, so this is about 80 and this is what it is. It got to in 2013, it got to something like this. Or you can add the labels, so you can add these ones in, and maybe when we extend it, we are able to see exactly what the numbers are. And when you do that, you can take this one out. I'm just going to click on it and delete it so that you can see what exactly it is right here. So we can see what the trend is and be able to tell exactly what is happening. One other thing that you might want to do at this point is to find out what's the percentage increase over the previous year. So we've done a part of it here by actually finding that difference. And so if we know what this difference is over the initial, over the prior year, we can be able to tell what this increment is all about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just take this again, and we're going to just put a comma here because that's going to be another field here. And so this is going to give us our difference. It gave us previously our incremental. And I'm going to put a bracket just around it, just for us to understand what's happening. I'm going to divide it, and we're going to divide it by what was for the previous year. Okay, so that was what was for the counts. You get it? So we're going to take this. So this is the count of requests. You get it? This is the count of requests, and we're just going to divide here like this. And we're going to just we're working towards making it a percentage now. So let me just put the PC and something like that there, and let's run it and see what we get. So we actually will get it this way, because what we are running are actually integers that we are running. So we're going to try to what we really need to do is to make this whole thing, we want to make this whole thing not just an integer, but we want to make it to be numeric. So I'm going to just do this numeric and see what comes off it. We'll run it again. And now you can see that our answer is coming out in numeric format. So this numeric, I'm just going to see how to multiply it by 100. And let's see what comes out. Okay, so you can see that actually it comes out as these ones are just, so this 52%, that's about half of what it was. So you can see that difference coming up there. You get it? So let me test this. I think we can do a round. We can do a round here, and at the end here we just let's do it by 2 decimal places and run it. Oh, where did I go wrong? Sorry, so I think I have a problem here, and let's run this. So that's it. So that's about 52% and all of that. So you can actually change that to be this, and let's just have it just 1 decimal place. So you can see it about 19% increase, and this dropped by 3.7%, and this was a 25% increase over what it was previously. You get it? So you can actually use this to be able to get what the percentage is and try to have a sense of what the trend is. So have we answered the question? How many records were created each year? Identify any trend in the number of records reported annually. So we can actually see what likely was the trend when the incremental. So we can see a drop here and we can see an increase here. So the biggest increase is this 2019. And you could start probing further to find out what really caused that increase. But we might have questions in the future that will look at what really had caused that increase there. So it's a part of data analysis that you can do. So you want to stick around, subscribe to the channel so that we can be able to answer questions like this here on hands-on data. What I try to do with questions like this is to help you to see how you can apply it in your everyday work life. So thank you for being with me in this video. Look forward to seeing you in upcoming videos, and join and don't miss out in this series. Subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you would be able to get alert on these videos as they come in. Thank you very much. Bye bye.